Hello, and welcome to the second Bayfield Street Transportation Improvements Public Information Center, or PIC. My name is Lauren Polonsky, and I'm a Senior Environmental Planner for this important study that is exploring both potential short-term and long-term improvements on Bayfield Street between Grove Street and Hanmer Street. Our first PIC was held virtually in March of 2024, and we appreciate everyone who viewed our presentation and participated in our online survey. We held a second in-person PIC on September 23rd at the East Bayfield Community Center in Barrie. But if you were not able to attend that event, we are recording this presentation virtually so that you can still participate in this important study. As you may or may not know from participating earlier, this study is being completed under the Municipal Class Environmental Assessment, or EA, process. The Class EA process is an informed decision-making process to evaluate alternatives, assess potential effects, and identify measures to avoid or reduce project impacts. When we assess the potential environmental impacts of a project in the EA process, we don't just consider the natural environment. We also consider other factors like economic, social, and cultural factors so that the EA process is all-encompassing. As noted on the previous slide, this study is being undertaken as a Schedule C Municipal Class EA, which includes 4 key phases. Phase 1 defines the opportunities and challenges. Phase 2 includes looking at different ways to address the transportation challenges and opportunities, which could include things like improving intersections, widening roads, adding cycling and pedestrian infrastructure, etc. Phase 3 focuses on what those improvements identified in Phase 2 will generally look like and where they might go. Phase 4 documents the study process. We are currently finishing Phase 2, in which we are asking for the community's input on a preliminary recommended planning solution to address the Bayfield Street's existing transportation challenges and opportunities that I will describe in more detail in a few slides. For clarification, the recommended planning solution is high level in nature and will guide the development of alternative design solutions, which will be developed as part of work to occur this fall and winter. So as we described for you in March, the Ministry of Transportation, or MTO, plans to reconstruct and widen Bayfield Street from Grove Street to Coulter Street to 6 lanes and build a new Highway 400 interchange and crossing. MTO's project will begin the detailed design phase late this year, and we expect that they will provide updated construction timelines in the coming months. These MTO improvements require the city to implement transportation improvements on Bayfield Street from Coulter Street to Cundles Road in the near term, and coordinate with the MTO on including active transportation improvements within their project limits from Grove Street to Coulter Street. As a result, the city is studying both near-term needs and establishing a long-term vision for the corridor with consideration for all travel modes. A key element of this study is to identify the existing and potential transportation challenges and opportunities associated with Bayfield Street, which is summarized in a problem and opportunity statement. This statement is essentially the heart of the study and justifies why transportation improvements along Bayfield Street are needed. As most of us know, Bayfield Street is a prominent corridor and a key gateway into the city, but the city is evolving, much like Bayfield Street. In addition to MTO's planned interchange improvements, Bayfield Street has also been identified as an intensification corridor planned for higher density and mixed-use development. And, as suggested by recent surveys, city residents have expressed a greater desire to seek better and safer alternative modes of transportation, whether that be by public transit, cycling, or walking. As a result, and in anticipation of Bayfield Street's transformation, there is an opportunity to redesign Bayfield Street into a street that has improved safety and better supports all road users. The Bayfield Street Transportation Improvement Study is assessing and identifying a number of near-term improvements, including 1, active transportation improvements to integrate with MTO's Highway 400 interchange project between Grove Street and Coulter Street. 2, auto capacity and active transportation improvements between Coulter Street and Cundles Road. 3, interim active transportation improvements between Cundles Road and Hanmer Street. And 4, localized intersection improvements at Bayfield Street and Grove Street. For the longer-term planning, the study is exploring transforming Bayfield Street between Grove Street and the Barrie city limits to reflect planned changes in land use that includes a mix of medium-density residential and commercial uses. This plan will embrace complete street principles that promote an enhanced pedestrian and cyclist-friendly street while balancing the role this corridor plays as a regional connector. It's important to note that near-term improvements may be limited by existing corridor constraints and land use. Elements that cannot be incorporated in the near-term solution can still be planned for as part of a long-term corridor plan. Based on the preliminary traffic results completed for the study, we have identified at least 5 intersections along Bayfield Street, between Grover Street and Hamner Street, that currently experience high levels of congestion or queuing. Again, the Bayfield Street Transportation Improvement Study will examine various strategies and designs to address these significant pinch points. And for those of you who have traveled along Bayfield Street for shopping or to access Highway 400, you likely have experienced traffic issues between Grove Street and Cundles Road. There's typically significant congestion along Bayfield Street. This not only results in increased travel time during peak hours, it is impacting traffic operations for the interchange, resulting in significant queuing on the southwest off-ramp. As growth continues, this could become a road safety issue if the queue extends beyond the available storage length. During this study, we will be looking at ways to ensure there's enough capacity on Bayfield Street to improve traffic operations, especially at those locations highlighted in yellow on the map. So what are the most critical traffic and safety issues affecting Bayfield Street that require the City of Barrie to develop both short-term and long-term improvements along this important corridor? First, traffic volumes exiting the Highway 400 southbound off-ramp exceed Bayfield Street capacity. This results in significant queuing on the ramp, which presents a safety issue. Second, most of us have experienced the traffic congestion along Bayfield Street, especially during peak periods. This is simply the case when the demand for the road has exceeded its designed capacity. And third, the high number of driveways with uncontrolled turning movements are resulting in numerous preventable collisions on Bayfield Street. The most hazardous movements include left-ins and most especially left-outs. Other significant issues along Bayfield Street include the current lack of cycling infrastructure that requires cyclists to use sidewalks, as well as the lack of streetscaping or plantings that are both less inviting and more uncomfortable for pedestrians. One person's challenges are another person's opportunities, and the city envisions lots of opportunities to improve Bayfield Street by improving safety and traffic operations, supporting different modes of transportation, enhancing the streetscape, and creating compatibility with current and future land uses. The study team has examined historic collision data on the corridor. Over a 5-year period, there has been 1,055 collisions. 85% of collisions occur at intersections, while 15% occur mid-block. The data also illustrates the disproportionate share of injuries relative to collision rates for vulnerable road users. It is important for members of the public to understand the hazards pedestrians and cyclists face when traveling, and why specific infrastructure for those users is important. I also want to highlight the mid-block collision rate. The numerous uncontrolled private accesses are resulting in drivers making unsafe mid-block maneuvers, resulting in the majority of mid-block collisions. There is an opportunity to significantly reduce these collisions and improve road safety by controlling turning movements by installing a raised median. We'll be touching further on this topic later in the presentation. Since our first Public Information Center in March of this year, 6 themes have essentially emerged from residents and stakeholders about Bayfield Street, several of which we've already explored in previous slides. 1. Make Bayfield Street safer and less congested. 2. Provide more active transportation options that are safe and physically separated from the road. 3. Enhance transit opportunities with more and better service. 4. Consider design improvements along Bayfield Street that consider things like addressing the turning radii at key intersections or providing dedicated lanes to transition to Highway 400. 5. Make Bayfield Street greener and more attractive. And 6. Incorporate smart infrastructure like smart traffic signals or other technologies to manage traffic. We'd like to thank everyone who provided feedback through the online survey conducted earlier in the year. This survey provided valuable insights on experiences and priorities from respondents. When asked a general question on the overall experience of Bayfield Street, respondents characterized the corridor as congested, chaotic, and an unsafe thoroughfare, with heavy traffic, frequent accidents, poor infrastructure, and a lack of pedestrian-friendly features. Many respondents commented on the need to control turning movements. Respondents ranked adding traffic capacity and improving road safety as the most important improvements. When asked if they could change just one aspect, respondents chose improving traffic flow and supporting active transportation infrastructure as the two highest ranking choices. Given the physical constraints on the corridor, all additional infrastructure, like adding travel lanes, wider sidewalks, or adding cycling facilities, will require the city to acquire private property. When asked what trade-offs should be made to minimize private property requirements, almost half of respondents indicated the city should add travel lanes only, while 20% suggested that the center two-way left turn lane be removed, with no left turns being permitted. Interpreting the results, respondents are communicating that traffic capacity and road safety are priorities with significant interest in improving active transportation infrastructure. However, respondents recognize the challenge of accommodating that infrastructure in terms of property impacts. What are some things that the city could do to address the transportation challenges and opportunities that I've just laid out? From a broad sense, the city identified and evaluated 9 potential transportation improvements, including 1, supporting the city's ongoing transportation demand management or TDM efforts that include things like shifting auto demand to time periods outside of rush hours or reducing auto demands by encouraging non-auto transportation modes. 2, adding travel lanes to increase traffic capacity while improving the level of service. 3, improving intersections by providing turning lanes, optimizing traffic signal timing, and implementing smart technologies. 4, adding cycling facilities and improving pedestrian infrastructure. 5, improving transit infrastructure. 6, creating a more attractive and inviting streetscape. 7, providing high occupancy or HOV lanes to encourage more carpooling. 8, improving corridor safety and operations by eliminating unsafe turning movements from driveways through the provision of a raised median, something that we'll talk about a little bit later. And 9, improving other north-south parallel routes nearby. Our evaluation also required us to compare each of the options to a do-nothing or no-build option, which would maintain the existing road network as it currently exists. The 9 potential planning solutions were evaluated based on several key criteria and factors through the lens of different environments: socioeconomic, natural, cultural heritage, and technical or planning and transportation. I will provide a short summary of the evaluation process and preliminary recommendations starting on the next slide. You will note that relative to each criteria, different options were evaluated as either more preferred, which is in green, moderately preferred, which is in yellow, or less preferred, which is in red. Of the 4 options examined here, alternatives 2 and 3, adding travel lanes and improving intersections, demonstrate significant benefits across the board and were recommended for additional study. Both of these options aligned with Bayfield Street's planning objectives and vision, supported the long-term benefits for residents and businesses, and showed the potential to significantly improve transit and traffic operations, safety, and connectivity. The do-nothing option was not carried forward as it simply did not address Bayfield Street's transportation challenges and opportunities. Likewise, the TDM option, alternative 1, did not align with Bayfield Street's planning objectives and vision and only provides limited long-term benefits to residents and business owners, as well as limited improvements to transit and traffic operations, safety, and connectivity. Of the 3 options evaluated here, alternatives 4 and 6, improving active transportation and improving streetscaping, were recommended for additional study. Both options align with Bayfield Street's planning objectives and vision, demonstrate long-term benefits for residents and businesses, show good potential for climate change action and streetscaping improvements, and will enhance transit and traffic operations. Alternative 5, improve transit, is also recommended for additional study, but aligns more with the city's overarching goal to enhance Barrie's transit infrastructure. Hence, Alternative 5 is being carried forward as part of the city's transportation master plan. For clarification, Alternative 5 is focused on transit service, frequency, and routing. The study will examine opportunities to improve transit stops and transit-specific infrastructure on the Bayfield Street corridor. Alternatives 7 and 8, HOV lanes and improving corridor safety and operations, are also recommended for additional study given that they both align with Bayfield Street's planning objectives and vision, demonstrate long-term benefits, and improve safety and connectivity. Alternative 9, improving other parallel routes, was eliminated from further consideration, as this option does not align with Bayfield Street's planning objectives and vision, nor does it improve transit and traffic operations, active transportation, safety, or connectivity along Bayfield Street. For alternative 7, HOV lanes, the intent would be to repurpose the outside lane as an HOV lane. The study will assess the need and benefit of adding an HOV lane and making a recommendation on whether it's needed in the near term or should be considered further in the future. To summarize, the recommended planning solution consists of a number of important elements. Improving corridor safety and operations is a significant factor in the high number of preventable collisions on the corridor, and a raised median has the potential to improve safety for all road users. Improving intersections can be achieved through such things as turning lanes, optimizing traffic signal timing, and implementation of smart technologies. Adding and/or reconfiguring travel lanes can accommodate existing demand and planned growth, but likely requires private property as additional travel lanes cannot fit within the existing right-of-way. Improving transit infrastructure in terms of service and frequency is being carried forward for consideration at a macro level through the Transportation Master Plan. Adding cycling facilities and improving sidewalks can reduce automobile reliance and encourage active transportation, but may require the need to acquire private property. Improving streetscaping may create a more attractive and friendly public realm along Bayfield Street, but may be constrained in some locations. Taken as a whole, these recommended planning solutions have been determined to best address Bayfield Street's short-term and long-term challenges and opportunities. It is important to note that the recommended planning solutions will be carried forward and considered as part of the development of the design alternatives. Think of these items somewhat as a guide on what we'd like to have. Now we need to see what we can accommodate in terms of physically fitting these improvements into the corridor, noting that all additional infrastructure beyond what exists today requires private property. The study team will need to carefully consider city policies and objectives, engineering requirements, and industry practices, coupled with public feedback in developing and evaluating alternative design solutions as part of the next project phase. Elements that can't be accommodated in context of current land use can be planned for as part of a long-term corridor plan. As noted earlier in the presentation and prominent in public feedback is the need to improve road safety. There is an opportunity to significantly improve road safety by implementing a raised median. A raised median improves safety by not allowing drivers to make unsafe maneuvers from private accesses, which are generally left-ins and left-outs. I'm sure members of the public who travel on Bayfield Street and viewing this presentation have personally witnessed drivers making these dangerous maneuvers when traveling Bayfield Street. While raised medians would help significantly reduce mid-block and intersection collisions, it may limit access to some businesses along Bayfield Street. One of the ways to alleviate this issue is to allow passenger vehicles to make U-turns at intersections, specific median openings, and through private owner agreements allowing cross-access between properties. This is a conceptual sketch of how the U-turn concept could work, which will be further refined as the study advances. We'd also like to hear from businesses and property owners who may have concerns or would like to discuss the median concept in further detail. And we ask that they reach out to the project team via email at bayfieldstudy@barrie.ca. bayfieldstudy@barrie.ca. Our contact information is also available on the project website, which will be listed at the end of this presentation. While a raised median would be new to Bayfield Street, it is common practice. Most transportation agencies require medians for 6-lane streets, while some include them on 4-lane streets. The two photos on the left of the slide illustrate examples in Oakville and Markham. The study is also considering opportunities to implement protected intersections or elements of protected intersections to improve safety. The photos on the right of the slide illustrate examples in Kingston and London. As part of this study, several technical analyses have already been completed, including natural heritage, cultural heritage, and archaeological surveys. More work is imminent, which will be used to develop and evaluate alternative design concepts, potential impacts, and mitigation measures. Here's a more detailed overview of the project schedule, highlighting key milestones. The key next step is to confirm the recommended solution and begin to develop and evaluate alternative design concepts that ask the question, what could the near-term solutions along Bayfield Street look like? The final Public Information Center is planned for the spring of 2025 and will present a preliminary recommended design solution. This event will be in person and include online content for those residents unable to attend the event. To learn more about this study, you can go to our Building Barrie webpage following the link noted on the slide here. On the webpage, you can subscribe to receive electronic project updates, review important and updated information about the study, access key documents and reports, and participate in an interactive survey that is relevant to this phase of study. As I mentioned, the third Public Information Center is tentatively scheduled for next spring, and we hope to see you in person or online. We're also hosting meetings with key stakeholders, including the business community and property owners, to have a meaningful dialogue about the future of Bayfield Street. We sincerely appreciate your time in participating in our second Bayfield Street Transportation Improvements Public Information Center. Once again, we really hope that you are able to take a few minutes to go to our webpage at www.buildingbarrie.ca/Bayfield Street to find out more about this study and participate in future online surveys. Going forward, we will let you know about important updates, so we really hope that you'll continue to make the study a priority and participate. So thanks again.